Hey everyone, welcome to our book club. Oh, look at that. It pulled up
It did.
previous. Oh,
Look
that's
at
so
us
cool.
all of a sudden looking like professionals. So,
Oh my god. Oh, not that professional. Turn
yeah.
off turn off my phone. That's okay. We're figuring out this platform that we're using. What the heck? There we go. How's everybody doing tonight? Sorry, we were working right up until like this last second. Corey like literally just skidded in here. And so we're just now seeing your guys' comments because today's been a long work day. I've been actually, we both work from home, but I've been actually in my office. Oh, we both did it. So I actually been gone in my office all day and then got back, and man, we have just been like bam, 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 trying to get all this figured out. So I'm just seeing all of your guys's the notes. I did slow down the comments. Thank you. One of you guys emailed me. Thank you so much, and said put a sticky note on your computer screen. So thank you for whoever did that. Um I have you in my emails. I was going to send you a big thank you, but oh, my mom's on. It's one of my favorite YouTubers, and Corey.
Yes.
Thank you. Oh my gosh. Appreciate that. We were actually, Corey
Hi
and I
from
sat up last
Monte.
night way too late, and we were talking about all the things that go on in my brain. And poor Corey was like, oh my God, that's exhausting. And so I was just telling him, I'm like, everyone loves you so much. And it's so, thank you. I appreciate it. Cause sometimes I'm like, I'm just the sidekick. um,
Dang it. Your mom's on, so I got to now edit my joke again.
don't edit your joke. My mom can handle it.
Okay.
What was your joke again? I can't remember it.
Oh, we also watched the new
Sister
Sister
Wives.
Wives episode. So I, she was at work today out there doing it. And so I was working here. But in the meantime, I was like, I got to set up our room for.
I know. So I come in here
So,
to all this stuff going on in the back.
yeah.
I'm like, what the heck?
So, yeah. So I just set up. We're celebrating or we're getting ready for Thanksgiving. Christmas is looming in the background, but then Robin's line on
Oh my
her eggs
God.
dropping. I'm like, okay, I got to put some eggs up there because this gobbler right here sees sexy old Cody and him taking care of his family, and she wants a piece of that, and all of her eggs drop. So yeah, so I'm just getting a few little decorations ready for our recording on the.
Yes. And we are making a recording on the last episode. We just haven't had a chance to yet because work's been crazy for us.
I
But
left out the sausage gobbler.
oh my gosh, I don't know if we can say that on our
Yeah.
but I want to clear something up really quick. Never, ever, ever, even though I was born and raised in this religion, I have never, ever one time looked at another married man and had my eggs drop and wanted to marry him. Not once. That is not normal. That is not common. That is not even healthy. I don't know how the hell she came up with that statement. I have never heard that before. My mom's on here. Mom, have you ever heard that before? I've never heard that
I've heard the old egg dropping.
towards a married man.
Well, I mean, that's
Because you know he can be a good dad. I'm like, what?
Literally,
What is happening?
She is stating what the girls were taught to do growing up. They were looking for a worthy man, whether he was married or not. And most of the times, if they were married, they were considered
Yeah,
they were
prime meat.
considered they were considered the worthy men of the community.
What's in what happened right there? Oh, that was interesting. We just kind of went black for a second. Okay.
Screen did.
Yeah, that was weird, huh?
Due to a change.
Yeah. Sorry. I'm not
Yeah.
sure what happened. We just
Oh.
got a notice saying that it just started. Yeah.
Did it on the main one too. So
Yeah. Okay.
sorry guys, we disappeared for a minute, probably because of my joke. So I apologize for that.
But I literally felt like some girls looked at my ex-husband like that, but I never, not once in my lifetime have I ever done that. And I've never, never ever.
But-
and my mom just said, no, she's never heard that either. So
Yeah, but you were a first wife. Your mom was a second wife. So
yeah.
but she was dating before. But yeah, hey, there's probably some people out there just like Robin whose eggs drop when they see a man
that was
around. So
yeah, that is so far out of line. It's so far, like, I just think, I think YouTube just did that little blip because we got some notification on our screen that said we're on a new track, like your YouTube restarted for a new track or something. So I don't know.
Or the PSR had something to do with that.
Yeah. So that is not common. I have, again, never heard that terminology before. And when she said that, I'm just going to say it. That's really attractive. No, it's not. Looking at a married man is not attractive. That's adultery. So, but there you go. So what?
But obviously in this group, some of the people were teaching that because it's something that she believes. So
this is an hilarious comment. I'm going to put this comment.
Yeah.
Come on, go up here. My eggs remain firmly in place. Seeing Cody.
And I don't have eggs, but if I did, they would not drop for Cody. But yeah, cool.
Yeah, I just and it's funny. So my sister has, started her own YouTube channel, and she had put out there, which I fully agree. I think this is one of the most profound things I've heard her say is that Robin has the thrill of, she loves that thrill of kind of like that adultery thrill of like, oh, we're going to get caught. And so I would say that, I'm going to put this one up on screen too. Unfortunately, there are women out there who do think like Robin. And I agree with you because you could kind of see, and we won't get too far into the episode because we are going to do a recap on it. But yeah, it's almost like that is what she finds attractive, is the thrill of the hunt, or the thrill of not getting caught, or the thrill of getting away with something that you're not supposed to be doing,
or doing something behind the other wife's back.
Exactly.
So yeah, that excitement, and they're all
and
gone,
that's what
she's
gets her going and drops her eggs all over the place and makes a huge big mess all over the floor. Someone else has got to mop up. I just think it's hilarious. It was just
and this is where the phrase comes, walking on eggshells. So yeah, kids are walking around on all these eggs dropping everywhere because of the women just getting super excited about Cody.
So I think we're going to go live tomorrow because we just really want to talk about this. We want to talk about the episode. I know we're here to do book club, and we'll get to the book, but the episode was just like, it's funny because I've really tried hard not to drink. Not that I have to try that hard, but I've really tried to, especially since my surgery in July, I really just don't drink a lot. But on this last Sunday night, I did have 3 glasses of wine, and I'm sorry for everyone who's seen our TikToks because it was very apparent that I'd had 3 glasses of wine. Corey had none. And so,
I did that sober. So that tells you.
You watched
how tight my stomach was. So I muscled through that sober.
So yeah, there you go.
Yep.
I did not muscle through it sober. But I got to be nicer. I've got to not be so mean. Oh, but yeah. So we want to go live tomorrow afternoon. So if anybody wants to come over and just hang out, and we'll talk about the book. We haven't done a lot of special forces coverage either because there just really hasn't been a lot to cover with Cody. But I mean, come on, we got to give credit where credit is due. The guy's killing it on special forces. He's like hyped up on methamphetamines or something. I don't know.
No,
I don't know.
Probably not. Work it out. He prepared for this. So
yeah. And so he's definitely doing really well on special forces. So we definitely got to give him credit. But watching the episode on Sunday night with 3 glasses of wine again is why we encourage people to do their healing work. So that, what are you laughing at? Because I feel ashamed.
Yeah. Do your healing work.
Yeah, because I like literally, we really need Corey off the cuff. Where is he? Where he's allowed to say whatever he wants. Yeah, no, he can say whatever he wants most of the time. I'm like, you're just gonna get us censored, banned. But yeah, we'll put out our recap on the episode, and yeah, it's insanity. That whole episode was just mind-boggling. But again, this is why we do encourage to do your healing work, because we laughed and I swore and Corey laughed at me swearing. And so it was a fun night.
It was a fun night.
And we took down Halloween earlier that morning and then whipped up Christmas. And so we're not all the way finished with Christmas, but we're getting there. So yeah.
We're all the way finished with Thanksgiving though. Everything's ready for Thanksgiving.
No, apparently I said that in the video. But yeah, we got a turkey back here and the eggs. So he's hilarious. Let's see. Somebody says Sean Johnson talked about how terrible he was in the tunnel. They didn't show it on the episode. Yeah. It's weird because it's weird because he hasn't gotten a lot of coverage. So that's what makes me wonder if he's like going to go all the way to the end with this.
He is. Most of the previous seasons that I watched, they give a lot of coverage to those people that are gonna, if you're getting a lot of showtime, it's because you're gonna drop off and quit.
Right.
And so they try to give them as much showtime before they quit, and then those that make it to the end start to get more and more footage at the end. So I'm like, yeah, there's very little of Cody. He's probably hanging in there, and he's going hard, going tough and hard. So
yeah, I mean, he's definitely killing it on the show. And just a huge shout out. We both watched individually because I had to go into my office today. So on the drive into my office, oh, our lights just went out.
Man,
yeah, what is happening over here? We're getting like crazy all over the place. Oh well, the lights just went out. Have to let it probably cool down for a minute. But so we both watched the Pop Psych interview with McKelty and Tony. So if you haven't watched that, that's a great interview. It gave us a lot to chew on, because I felt like we were raised with their parents, but I felt like we both felt like we related to their stories that they told. McKelty's story that she told about Mary, I related to that so much. And so I feel like, there we go. I feel like we're going to do another episode pretty soon here where we can talk about some of those types of things. And we kind of exchanged a couple of stories where we were unfairly treated by other mothers. And so I really related to a lot of what McKelty said on that interview with them. I was surprised at how I know a lot of people have a hard time with Tony, but I was actually really impressed with Tony's emotional intelligence. I feel like he does have quite a fair level of emotional intelligence.
Well, and I don't know Tony or Caleb other than the movie. Mitch I know personally.
Yeah.
And they are some amazing from what I've seen, but knowing Mitch, he's an amazing human being and loves and protects his wife and the daughter. And so, yeah, there's not going him, and especially if Cody's treating these girls this way, there's not going to be a tight love bond.
Right. Yeah, I thought it was a great interview. I really appreciated watching it. It made me have a different perspective on McKelty and Tony both. But yeah.
Well, I'd love to read a book from McKelty. I feel like that
it's on YouTube.
Even going through all of the stuff, watching Sister Wives, I have definitely connected with the kids more than I have with the parents.
Yeah.
I same age of those parents, but it's the kids part of it, the kids point of view that I recognize the most because I grew up as a kid in it. I've never lived it as an adult. So
Yeah. So even though I know we're here for book club, I just wanted to throw that one out there. We were supposed to do another interview with Pop Psych when I ended up in the hospital for my gallbladder in July. So we have not rescheduled that with them, but I think we're going to try to schedule that. It's going to reach back out to him and say, okay, we're ready to go. I really, really love their channel. And I was just really impressed with Tony and McKelty and a lot of their reasoning. I feel like McKelty maybe has gotten more. Well, I feel like a lot of the kids have gotten kind of a bad rap online. It's easy. I've even had to reassess how much judgment I've thrown out there towards some of the cast, some of the people on the show. So anyways, if you have a chance to check that out, I would recommend you check that out because it was really well done. And then again, another reminder to do your healing work when we listen to stories like that. It's really sad. So it's definitely, these poor kids have been parentified. Yeah. I think we all were growing up in this religion. You almost have to learn how to take care of other people. But yeah, I was really, really impressed by both McKelty and Tony's emotional intelligence. It was really, really refreshing to see.
Well, in their point of view, she should write a book because I would really love to see her point of view on it. This chapter here, because we're starting with chapter 37. I lost my brain completely. It's interesting because I've watched the first 4 seasons completely now. Well, I'm on the 4th season.
Yeah.
And there is a lot, and I remember this growing up, but there was a lot of shame if one of the kids wanted to dress different, and McKelty dressed different, and she was being shamed about the way she's dressing. And so that really kind of stood out for me on this part of the book, because now her mom is trying to date, trying to get out there, and she is supporting her mom in dressing sexier and dressing towards that. And that has got to be a huge change for both of them, especially since whatever it was 10 years earlier, she was being told that she's can't dress sexy, and now she's helping and supporting her mom do that her mom has been able to change her thinking from the cult mentality to actual normal thinking, I feel like. And
so instead of holding anger and resentment towards her mother, and we're going to get to that because it's in this part of the book. So instead of holding anger and resentment, and you can see she wants to heal through all of the things, which is awesome, because that really is, there's so much deconstructing that these kids will have to do for the rest of their lives, that the wives will have to do for the rest of their lives, we will do for the rest of our lives. And so, even having our YouTube channel has given us such a huge opportunity to look at things a little bit differently. And we haven't really gone into a lot of our own stories other than when we share about sister wives. And so I think we're going to start creating a few more videos around us. We've just been kind of,
telling our stories of my sexy change, where all of a sudden I got into shorts and felt naked, but felt sexy too. So
I was just happy the day that I could talk you into unbuttoning that top button, because he was still buttoning that button all the way up to his neck when we first got together. It was I was like, do not wear, what are you doing? Why are you wearing your shirt like that? And he's like, well, this is how you wear these shirts. I'm like, no, it's not. So but I had to talk him out of that. But what's funny is here we are talking about like the emotional maturity of Tony and McKelty. And then this chapter 37, I lost my brain completely. And it starts out with, you're an attractive woman, my son-in-law, Tony said, you should be getting laid. So, so apparently he feels confident enough to, to tell his mother-in-law she needs to be getting laid. I thought that was really funny that she started out this chapter like this. But that is one of the biggest things I feel like, and we were kind of just touching on this, when you leave a culture that is so so like pious in your dress, in the way that you do everything. Everything has to be chaste. Everything has to, it's a culture shock. It's almost like you dip your big toe in the water and you're like, oh gosh, that feels a little scary. I'm showing too much skin. And so I think that it's interesting, because now she's going through this experience with adult children who are going to give her, my mom's on here. She can tell you she has learned so much from her adult children because they'll joke around with her. And my mom's like, I don't know what that means. And we'll all be joking with her.
And here your mom's on this episode and you're just admitting that you were undressing me with your eyes.
Oh, I undressed you with my eyes all over the place, buddy.
Unbuttoning my top.
No, my mom actually used to just make fun of me too, because I would literally, when we first got together, make fun of the way Corey dressed, because he either wore free t-shirts or he wore his shirt all the way up to his collar, and my mom would give me the biggest grief about that. So I think a lot of people undress you with their eyes, babe. Yeah. I'm just saying. Thanks. But so then she starts talking about yeah, sorry. So
a lot of eggs dropping out there.
Gosh. So Christine's talking about going from being extremely chaste to now she just wants to have a real kiss. Now, and that is so true. The way she describes it in the book, I love the way she describes it, because I felt the same way when I left my ex-husband. It's like, what would it feel like to be kissed because somebody really loved you, not because you were an object that they owned? And they were doing a responsibility or a duty. And what would it feel like to be in love like that? And so when I read the way she puts in here, she talks about, she had been with a man for 27 years and she didn't even know what a real kiss felt like. Worse, she wondered if she could even kiss somebody else right. And that is, gosh, I felt that way when you and I got together, huh? I literally was picking up the phone, calling my sister going, I don't know what to do. And, my sister was a lot looser than me, but I was calling her.
A lot more experience.
Yeah, I was calling and asking her for advice because I didn't know what to do. I'd been married for 10 years, but I had no idea how to do anything. And so, so she talks about getting a matchmaker to hook her up. Right. And then she talks about how it was she couldn't get past the idea that Cody didn't find her attractive. And this is, again, where so much inner healing work comes from, because until you start to heal some of that, you'll take that into every single relationship. You'll always wonder if she's good enough, or she'll always wonder if she's. And so I love that she really did try to do some inner healing work, because I love it when she says it's hard to date if you don't feel pretty or beautiful, and certainly not sexy. Now, we were taught you never wanted to be sexy. That was not something that was a priority. That was not something that was taught in the scriptures. Like, you don't need to be sexy. You don't need, again, you're wearing long garments. You're doing everything possible to be as unsexy as possible. What were you saying?
Well, it's a belief. Yeah. You're the wives and husbands, you were there to produce children. If you were being sexy, you were being worldly. Right. So
yeah. And so you were never taught to dress sexy or look. You couldn't even wear tight clothes. Your garments would bunch up underneath them, and then that just looked awkward. And B, you just didn't want to bring attention to the shape of your body. So that's another reason why the engagement photos with Robin and Cody were so taboo, because you could see all the curves of her body. That's a big fat no-no too. Let's see. And she talks about how on the first date she spilled her guts, right? And the matchmaker's like, yeah, you do not have to tell them everything all up at once. And she was like, that felt weird, because I love when she says, when I dated Cody, he already knew everything about me. Everyone in my community knew everything about me. Cody even knew everything about my parents and my grandparents. And that is very true. Everyone is up in everyone's business. Now, again, there's a lot of people in the AUB that you don't know. I didn't know Corey when he was in the AUB. He didn't know me, but the people that I did know knew everything about me, as it felt like. And so when she said that, I thought that was very, very funny, because it's a closed little secretive society that you do know everything about everybody.
And the women were encouraged to marry within the society.
Yep.
So
yeah. So she talks about she was worried about being recognized because of her TV show. She said she had a hard time not telling all of her truths after being raised in such a secretive society. And that I found that line kind of interesting, because that's how I feel too. Like, Corey never wanted anyone to know where we came from. And when we both shared an office together, and I just would openly talk about polygamy because that's just where I came from. And he would be like, stop telling people in our office that we came from polygamy. I'm like, why? We didn't choose that. We were just born into it. There's nothing that we could have done to stop that. Right. And so I've never had a hard time talking about it, especially because we were raised in such a secretive society. We were raised in such you don't talk about these things. You don't bring these things to the forefront of people's attention. And so, so I love that, again, McKelty and Tony really showed up for Christine during this time of her dating. Let's see. She also talks about there was a gentle evolution from going from less frumpy. And again, I know I've made these comments before. I've gotten torn apart on my comment section about it, but I have never understood the shirt with the spaghetti strap shirt over the top. I've never understood that look. I've never liked that look. But a lot of people were like, oh, I really like this short sleeve shirt or this spaghetti strap shirt, so I'm just going to put it on underneath a long sleeve or over the top of a long sleeve shirt. But she talks about her gentle evolution towards less frumpy. When she left the church, she remembers being excited to buy capris that never would have covered those garments. Mm-hmm. And then long shorts, and then eventually short dresses. I think you can see some of the changes throughout the years on the show, she says, but I still tried to stay modest out of respect for the community. And capris were one of the greatest things that ever came out. I remember, I'm 6'2", so I struggled hard to find long pants that I could wear, because everything, I had to wear men's jeans, but you can't find maternity men's jeans. So I struggled all the time to find clothes that were appropriate for me. Most of the time I had to make my own pants if I wanted to wear them. So yeah. And then this, again, what Corey was saying earlier about McKelty saying, yeah, you need to dress differently. You have a great body and you need to show it off. And I find that very emotionally mature of McKelty, because here she was shamed for the way that she chose to dress most of her life. And yet she's not holding that against her mother. She's like, no, we want you to have a good time. We want you to be noticed. We want you to be seen. Here's how you're going to be noticed and seen. Thank you so much, caffeinated Mortisi. Sorry if I ruined that name, but thank you so much for that super chat.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And so, was there anything else? Go ahead.
Well, no, just she's discussed this in earlier, where she had to become good with God. And I think she's kind of adding to that, because when you're leaving a society like this, she has now basically God. She feels when she was marrying Cody, it had to have the priesthood leaders' permission. That would be God's permission. And so here, this permission has been given from God's mouthpiece, that this is God's chosen husband for her. And he doesn't love her. He doesn't even like her. He finds her disgusting. And so that has to mess with your psyche, that would all these other people out in the world who are not connected with their God find her sexy or appealing. And so to have that encouragement from her kids that you are sexy, from her son-in-law that you are sexy and you should get out there and do that. that's amazing. That's a great help. It's humans talking to humans,
Right.
and her kids don't want to be a part of it, don't have the same belief system of her. And so this is her dissecting her whole religious upbringing down to the point where she's now dressing different, trying to be sexy, trying to have that love relationship, and the complete support of her kids. And so that's an amazing, I really am appreciative of her kids in this situation.
Right.
So, and I think she is too.
Well, and I love how Tony is just bantering with her because
Mhm.
it's so scary. It is really
really
scary
is.
when you take that first step out of
Mhm.
like when I took that first step out, it was terrifying for me. I had no idea what I was going to do. And when I'm calling my sister and I'm like, "Hey, I don't know what to do. Can you give me some feedback? Can you give me like just tell me what to
How
do
to
because
date.
right now I don't even want suggestions. I just want to know exactly what to do." And so I loved it. I love that Tony can banter with Christine and give her like take some of that edge off, I guess. And I love it when he says, "Are you getting laid yet? Because we're not going to watch Truly anymore if you're not getting laid. It's a waste of our time."
Mhm.
And so I love that he is trying to set
Joking with
her
her.
at ease,
Mhm.
trying to help her to relax. And what's funny is I won't go into too much detail about
And
this.
saying that it's okay.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And
Where she
accepting
would have
her
been
for where she's
shamed
at.
with anybody else within the community or anybody close to her. That would have been a shaming type of
Right.
conversation.
Well, and without going into too much detail, the first time we connected, I called my sister and told her, "Oh my gosh, like I've only kissed 3 guys in my whole life and I've been married to one of them and now Corey." And she started crying and she's like, "Oh no, I've made you a whore." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" So here's my sister who's very much knows the ropes and gotten around and she's very experienced. And then she's like all worried because she feels like she corrupted my I was very pious. I related to a lot of what Christine said in that section of the show. But it was funny. So then she meets David and they go into their love story. I think their love story is sweet. I love hearing more of the details of their love story from behind. And
how they met.
Yeah, how they met and how they started going on their first dates and stuff. And then he talks about how his sisters lived polygamy and she goes,
sister.
"Oh, I know all," he says, "I know all about polygamy. My sisters lived it." And I love that Christine says that was not the response she expected because it's a very small club. And it is comparatively to the rest of the population. It is a very small club. Oh, do we get Heather? Thank you so much. That's funny. Oh my gosh, is this why your head is like exploding right now? She's like, he's got this big old, yeah. Who else has a platonic crush on Corey? He's so funny. I think we're going to make this video sooner. I want to make our ayahuasca video sooner than later. And I want to make the way we met sooner. I want to make that video sooner than later because, I thought the same thing. I was happily married. I wasn't happily married, but I was married. Right. And I had kids when I first met Corey and I was like, I instantly fell so in love with him because I just thought he was the cutest bug. And so I wanted him to, I was like, somebody that I love should be with him because he's such a great guy. So when I got divorced, of course, he was the first guy I called up and I was like, "Hey, you want to go out?" So thank you so much for that, Heather. And then oh, I don't know who this one. I'm going to slaughter this name too. Menmosine. If you have a fever, can you remove your garments? How I would answer that is you can always do whatever you want. You can always take your garments off if you want. But if you were sick, that's when you'd want the protection of the garments even more so. So you wouldn't necessarily remove them because that's when you want the protection that you're promised when you go through the temple or the endowment house of what the garments will do for you. That's when you'd want them on the most. So that's why you wouldn't do that. So but I know some people would if they, but for me, I would actually leave them on. Even when I wore them, I would have left them on because it would have been a promise that God promised
to get healed quicker.
Yeah.
Wow.
So so then she talks about how David's sisters were involved in polygamy. And so he started watching Sister Wives because he wanted to see the drama. Well, one of his sisters that was living polygamy walked in and said, "What are you watching this crap for?" She hated the show because she didn't enjoy living polygamy. And we've talked about this before. Most people we know didn't watch the show. They thought it was crap too. And so I thought it was funny that even like AUB people, I'm curious even like what FLDS people thought about it, about Sister Wives.
Well, because we grew up in a more WWE version of Sister Wives, and so when they weren't putting that on TV and they're making it all look fluffy and awesome, I was like,
We're like, where's the
isn't
ring?
it real life?
Where's the ring? And these women need to be wrestling on the ground.
Yeah. Throwing crap at each other across the
what
room.
Are some of those moves called where she's like in the ring and they lean up against the I don't know the rubber thing and fly and land on each other? I think that'd be hilarious.
Yeah.
I would pay to watch some people I know do that.
Fights.
Yeah. She said that David had talked about he was one of the only guys that could understand her because he'd lived around polygamy. And I felt like that was really beneficial for you and I too when we got together, because I could understand where you came from. You could understand where I came from. And so we were able to talk a lot more about some of the experiences that we'd gone through. And I felt like I wasn't quite ready to talk about all of the details of like the church or of the marriage ceremony. And then you were just kind and didn't push it because you knew how like severe that would be. Like I made a covenant and a promise that I would rather give up my life than reveal the secrets that you're taught in the temple. And I felt like you understood that. So you never got offended that I wasn't like sharing my experience with it. You're like, oh, she'll tell me when she's ready. So yeah.
Well, I kind of knew you can, just because I had lived through it too, my slow steps away from the religion, and you still had, I felt like there was still some things that you were scared about leaving, and I understood that. I was scared too.
Right. And so we had to figure those things out. So I felt like we respected boundaries with each other when it came to that. And you didn't you didn't take it personally that I didn't feel, it wasn't about you that I didn't feel safe to share some of the stuff that I had experienced. It was just, she said that David's sisters fought constantly and he watched the show to see if he could see the drama. And then he's like, you guys weren't that drama. And that's why most people didn't watch Sister Wives, because there just wasn't exactly. There was WWE going on. And Corey's little sister says, moms just clotheslining each other.
Yeah.
Sometimes that did happen, stuff like that.
And they really were. I'm sure the conversations were going on. There was the drama, but they weren't putting it on TV.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until they're like, okay, we probably should put that on, that the show actually got interesting.
Yeah.
That's what I'm season 4. I'm just like, I don't know how it's not very engaging for me. So
I know.
I'm looking for some of the points that are jumping out at it, but
someone says, have you told him yet? I had to read that once or twice. Yeah, actually, but not until we got divorced. And then when we got back together, then it was like, all right, let's go into this 100, like not that we weren't 100% before, but we kind of had faded off from each other and not really talking in the ways that we could have been to keep our relationship healthy. So yeah, when we got remarried, then yes, we did go talk about everything. I don't think there's anything you don't know about.
And vice versa.
Yeah.
Well, you already knew most of my stuff.
Well, I know, but you hadn't been through the temple, so you didn't have to keep secrets.
Secret name.
Yeah. And so, but yeah, so then she talks about going out on a date with David. They went to the Hill Center Theater. Our granddaughter actually does plays there, not actual plays, but she's in acting classes there, which we love that theater. And she talks about going to see The Little Mermaid and wished that David would have kissed her, thought he was going to friend zone her. So I really appreciated reading the way that she fell in love with him. And And then, of course, the first time he kisses her, and all of a sudden, here she is, deeply, deeply in love with this guy. And that's the end of 37. A lot of this is just Christine's love story. So we'll probably skip through quite a bit of it because there's not really a lot of doctrine to talk about there, other than like I guess we could talk about our own relationship. But then I feel like, are we pulling a Cody Brown by making their relationship all about us?
Yeah.
So, yeah. Oh, please give your opinions on the interview on Pop Psych. We actually just did. So we just talked about that just barely. So when we're done with the live, you can always go back and look that one up. But yeah, we did. We highly recommend everybody go watch that. So let's see. I don't know that there's a bunch. Yeah, you have no idea. Corey, your stories about your moms are wild. He hasn't even begun to tell the stories because he still has a few mothers that are alive and doesn't want to be offensive. But there's some good ones. There's some, I'm like, that did not happen. You're full of crap. Like, you are lying. And he's like, no, it really did. And then I'll talk to one of his mothers.
My brothers back me up.
Yeah, and it was true.
Sister backs me up.
Those sister wives were definitely WWE.
Yeah, we had a whole different version of Sister Wives.
Yeah,
should have filmed ours. That would have been way better.
Yeah. Okay, so chapter 38. You're dressed really weird, and again, I mean, we see it on Sister Wives. You see the way that the women dress, and they're dressed weird. And then
modest is what they would have.
Modest is hottest is what they would say. Yeah, and it's hard to take that out of your system. It's hard to, I mean, hell, he was 29 years old and still buttoning his shirt all the way up to his neckline. And it's hard to take that out of your system and even know what to dress. Like, yeah. I feel like you still struggle with it. I have to help you all the time. He'll come out and he'll be like, is that what you're wearing today? And he'll be like, nope, apparently not. I'm going back in the closet to change and put something else on. The funniest thing is we would go to Montana to visit Corey's family, and we would take my little brother. He's kind of like our son. He's the one who his children call Corey Grandpa. And he would say, what did they talk about some shirt that they brought to wear, and Corey's like, I don't know, Mel packed my clothes. And he's like, your mommy packed your clothes for you? But yeah, I think it's funny. And so Corey's really struggled with that. I've really struggled with it. I feel like I can dress my kids, but when it comes to myself, I struggle. I don't have a sense of fashion or style or anything like that. And I feel like it's just because our whole lives we were taught it doesn't matter what you look like. It matters that you're covering your body. And so there was no actual sense of fashion or style or anything like that, would you say?
Yeah.
Corduroy pants and flannels were about the story of our lives.
And I grew up in Montana. It was always cold, so you always were covered. So
yeah. So okay, so you dressed really weird. And so she talks about how her and David are now like talking all the time, texting all day long. And she says, do you find me attractive? Like, she's asking him all the questions. Are we going to have sex? Do you find me attractive? Are we going to have an intimate marriage? Like, she is not messing around this time. She's not doing it out of obligation. She's doing it out of, this is what I want, and this is what I'm going to have in my next relationship. And so I love that for her. And she said that what's the worst thing that could happen from being that honest with him? Is he just going to up and leave her? I mean, she was in a loveless marriage for 3 decades anyway, so what's the worst that can happen with that? Then she talks about how her great-grandfather was intertwined a lot with David's family. And that's what's funny. When we got together, we started to see all of that kind of connections too. Corey's dad is the one who converted my grandfather into the AUB. Corey's dad is the one who baptized my father into the AUB. And of course, we didn't know any of this because we didn't know each other. And so there is so much intertwining with families and with people, right?
Yeah.
So another thing she talks about is that her grandfather Rulin actually was a direct connection to David's birth, which I found kind of interesting. I know, Corey, you're going to get lost in the comments tonight, huh?
I'm going to catch up.
So she talks about the security that comes with knowing that she's David's person and that he's going to come home to her every night because he wants to be around me, and has changed every aspect of her life. And that's what I think for us, at least, because we enjoy being around each other.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, I have to be here over here because it's your night. And I had never experienced that in a marriage before. I had never experienced in a marriage that we enjoyed being around each other.
And to be completely honest, I think that is something that even every polygamist wife wants, even every polygamist husband wants, but they're living a harder version of marriage because that'll get them into heaven for some reason.
Right.
And so it's not that they don't long for it, it's that they're doing something bigger and better and a little bit more difficult, and it sucks
Right.
for them. So
Right. So then she just talks about how David was criticizing
Catherine.
Christine's outfits. Oh yeah. Thank you so much, Catherine, for joining
Level
our
2.
our memberships at level 2. Thank you. But she talks about, and I feel like this is very true, at least in our experience. Even when we got divorced, nobody knew we were getting divorced.
Mhm.
So she was saying that her kids struggled with her dating David because they hadn't had the year or two
Yeah.
to be accustomed to, she hadn't said anything about leaving Cody, but she'd had all of this time to disconnect from him and to realize that her marriage was over. She didn't want to be married. So she had all of this time. And I felt that way when we
Yeah.
got divorced. We're like, we had a whole year of nobody knew what was happening. And so we were able to, okay, we're done with this, when our families really struggled around us because they didn't know
Yeah.
we were going through what we were going through.
Hello.
And so I really related to her when she said that part of it, because how many times do we know, just even in your regular life, how many people do you know that are struggling so severely and people have no idea, and then all of a sudden it's like, wait, you're getting divorced? What the hell? Where'd that come from?
But the interesting part about the what's in the book is you're getting divorced. Well, I've been divorced. I haven't even been hanging around with your dad for over a year. Has anything changed? And it's like, oh no, holy cow, nothing has changed
Right.
within. And so it's hard for those kids that there's a divorce going on, that she's moving and stuff. But yeah, not only did she have a year where she had already kicked him out and went through the grieving process, but she probably had 3 to 5 years before that where she was going through the hard parts of it that the kids and the other parts of the family really didn't know what she was really going through. So
Right.
it seems quick to the kids that she's getting back dating again and doing stuff, but yeah, they weren't aware of the 2-3 years, because a lot of things are kept secret within.
Well, and then she's got to show up like it's her divorce, it's her situation, but she's got to show up as a support system for other people who are just learning about it. I felt we did the same thing. I felt like, okay, we'd come to terms with our getting divorced, but then when our family found out, they were so devastated that it's like, okay, we had to sit there and do grief counseling with our family because of what we were going through. And then I love it that she decides to move in with David. What was funny is we're reading this part of the book, and for those of you that know, like, we were supposed to help Christine. Well, we weren't supposed to, but we were going to help Christine buy a house at one point. And the person who had referred her to us was like, oh, she's calling you any day. Oh, she's calling you. And we hadn't heard anything. So she says in here that everything went so fast, and they found a house that same week to move into. And I was reading this. I'm like, oh, that's when you were calling her all the time going, hey, what's going on? And of course, we didn't have our YouTube channel. We hadn't been talking about this show at all. And so, but we kind of fully expected that Corey was going to be helping her buy a home any day. And we just didn't hear it. And we didn't hear it. And it's because she met David, and David already had an agent that he was loved,
but they did good.
And so she ended up having it good. But as we're reading this part of the book, I'm like, oh yeah, remember? And I was excited to connect with Christine. And it's funny because Corey helped some of the children buy homes and but didn't say anything to the kids about how he knew them or how they, and so then
Yeah.
they're out showing one of the houses and the girl says, I know who you are. I talked to my mom about you and your wife, and she knows you guys and she grew up with you guys.
Mm-hmm.
And Corey just laughed. He's like, oh, okay. And she's like, why didn't you tell me that you were related and that you knew all of us? And Corey's like, I didn't think that mattered with the way that I do my job.
Yeah.
And so
Well,
I thought it was hilarious.
Because I don't know all of the family trees that you guys do. So,
Mhm.
and I wasn't making a huge announcement that, hey, I came from the same group. It wasn't
I know you didn't
something
talk a
that I
lot
ever
about it.
did. Yeah. So,
Yeah. So it's funny because it really struck that
mhm.
that child like, what the heck? How come you didn't tell me that?
Well, and I'd been away from it for 30 years at that time. So I didn't really know any of the kids. I mean, I knew her
And
husband.
we didn't watch the show, so
and I
we
didn't
didn't.
watch the show at
Yeah.
the time either. So I was clueless. So
Yeah, I was the one who was like, tell them I grew up with their mom.
Yeah.
Tell them, but yeah. I really appreciated the conversation that David had with Truly. So the next part of it is how David
Yeah.
connected with Truly. I really appreciated that part of it because that is a huge burden when he says to her, truly life was considered a miracle. And I don't think Christine ever meant any damage by that. She wanted, hey,
Mhm.
look, your life is a miracle. I've loved having you. And I love the way that David related to Truly and said, you must feel a lot of pressure from that. And the way her face softened and she warmed up to David. I thought that was really sweet of it. And then Truly literally living her entire life on this show, how nerving it can be when people come up to her and say, oh, I knew your mom. Oh, I knew, and when I ran into Mary one time and she was with her child and some friends, some of her child's friends, Mary came up to me and said, oh, hi, how are you doing? Blah, blah, blah. But I remember Leon at the time was like, oh my gosh, here we go again. And walked away with the friends, and they just kind of went and did their own thing. And then Mary sat and chatted with me for, gosh, I want to say almost an hour and a half because we hadn't seen each other in years. And so, but I've tried never to go, oh, hey, here, I tried not to be I was not starstruck over her. She was the one who came up and said hi to me. And so I saw the way Leon reacted to that. And I was like, yeah, I'll bet that gets exhausting for those kids. And Mary had a ton of people come up to her and say hi to her during that hour and a half that we were standing there. She took pictures with people. And what do you say?
Our kids do the same thing when we go out and you start.
Because
They're
I know
like,
everybody.
Mom knows everybody in the group. So we run into different people and she strikes up a conversation and our kids will be like, who is that? And I'm like, I have no idea. Mom knows everybody within this group. I have no clue who that person is. So
yeah. And I try not to, I try to acknowledge people when I see them. But I also don't want to overstep and invade privacy.
Hopefully that sounds better. I turned down Mel's mic. So hopefully
is
you're
mine
hearing
really
us clear.
loud?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Oh,
So-
Melanie's mic it's because I'm so much louder than Corey. Corey's actually pretty boisterous, but he gets
When I'm laughing. So
yeah.
yes, Mel is polygamy royalty.
Well, I just know all the people. I love how she is really trying to relate with Truly too. They're talking about moving in with David, and she's like, I've never lived with a man full time. These are little things that you wouldn't normally think about. The average person would normally think about, yeah, I've never lived with a man full time. That was a huge adjustment for me when I got married at 17. I had never, I saw my dad maybe once a week, sometimes twice a week if we were lucky. And well, if I wouldn't call that luck actually, because we got beat every time my dad came home. But I never had lived with a man full time. And that was a huge adjustment for me because I was so used to being able to come and go as I wanted, do what I wanted because my dad was never around. And my mom was hardly, she was always working. And so that was a huge adjustment. again, because he was like a parent to me. And so I'd have to ask permission if I could go somewhere. I'd have to ask permission if I could, do if I could go to the grocery store, if I could go anywhere, I have to ask permission to go. And so that was really a struggle for me when I first got married. And there's the little things like that that you don't think about. So I love that Christine points that out to truly, like, are you nervous about this?
Mhm.
We've never done this before. Go ahead.
Never done that because, well, they in the bit that truly ever experienced, because then when she was a baby, they moved down to Vegas, right? Because
She was, yeah, they were in Vegas. I
yeah,
think. Yeah.
no, she
Oh,
had her
yeah.
up here.
She had her
So,
up here. Yeah, I think you're right.
so yeah, so especially truly, she's never lived all in the same house. So
Oh,
that's
yeah.
a huge, yeah. And so she didn't ever see her dad like they might have when they all lived in the same house. So
Very true. I didn't think about that. Well, and then she talks about how when David goes off to work one morning, he can feel that something's off with her.
mhm.
And so he asks her if everything's okay. And she defaults back to her normal programming. I'm fine. Everything's fine. And he puts all of his stuff down and says, no, you're not fine. Let's talk about this. And I love the way she describes this, because I feel like, based on what we've been told, and again, it could be editing, that this is the kind of courtesy that Robin received from Cody, but none of the other wives did. If Robin had an issue, Cody put down his stuff and stayed until she did not have an issue anymore. And so this was a new experience for Christine. And I love the way the last sentence of this chapter, or the last two sentences, she said, we talked it through and I felt safe and loved. And that night he came home.
Yep.
Because if you have those types of conversations,
That sounds volumes.
Yeah, he puts you on a shelf until you feel better, and he doesn't want to deal with you.
Yeah.
And then he doesn't come home for how many more days until you figured out whatever it is you need to figure out. And then, so the fact that she noticed that he now came back home to her,
This
even
is
though
a new experience for her, and truly, so
yeah,
it's amazing.
So let's get through some of these comments here. Oh yeah. Oh, were we definitely having mic problems? Is that what that was?
Yeah.
Sorry.
I traded it and I turned mine up a little bit, so you probably can hear me now, and hers down a little bit. So.
Okay. Yeah. I always tell Corey, you got to speak up. I think too that I tend to talk really loud. It's all those years of not feeling heard or seen. Now I speak with aggression more probably. So, let's see. Did you see any questions you wanted to answer?
Yeah.
I love that comment, Katie. Moms just clotheslining each other. Corey's sister Katie says the eggs dropping comment from Robin was so gross. I think it's the worst. It's worse than the shit Cody says. I agree with you on that one. I was so stunned when she said that. I was like, I don't know if they like, okay, because there's programs you can buy to get a little hooks on social media. Like, oh, you want to catch everybody's attention at the very beginning of your whatever. I wonder if Cody and Robin sit down and they're like, what's some of the shit we can say to hook people into our show?
No. I think she has been quiet. She doesn't want to get into, well, it depends on how it works out for her, but that's a belief system that's her encouragement why she was looking for a married man.
Yeah.
That's her, and now it is. She's probably going, nope, I'll just say it. And so she's actually letting you hear what she's thinking in her mind, letting that garbage come out, or letting her opinion come out of why she felt justified to not only go after Cody, but there was an ownership and she was going to be better and woo him away from his other wives, and they needed to work harder and stuff like that. So yeah, she's absolutely. And yeah, she's probably older now, probably not going to have more kids, but that thought pattern is still going on in her mind. And if she's not necessarily looking for those eggs to drop to have more kids, but she's looking for that more attractive, maybe married man who can get her into heaven now. So
yeah,
she's just admitting her thoughts inside out, having them come out. So yeah, her metaphorical eggs will drop. Her spiritual eggs will drop when another married man who can get her into heaven comes along. So she's still looking at married men. So
yeah, that was really disturbing.
Mhm.
Catherine Perry says men who are funny and who are funny are attractive. Cody takes himself so seriously that it's not attractive. And I would agree with that. I definitely feel like too for Robin, yeah, when she says stuff like that, I feel like you get a peek at her inner like thought pattern of why
her messed up,
yeah,
dogmatic religious teachings.
Yeah.
Her mother would have said that in a heartbeat too. She probably heard it from her mother. So, so yeah, I was not surprised at all when she said that.
Yeah.
I was like, yep.
Yeah. So that's why we want to do a live tomorrow, because we want to talk about it more, because I just think it's funny. And plus I love doing the live interactions with everybody when we're talking about things. Okay, chapter 39. We're almost finished with this book. We have a couple more. And I won't lie, the last chapter got me pretty hard, kicked my trash a little bit. But so she talks about chapter 39, says, I wanted just the man for me. Mm-hmm. And again, I feel like this is in polygamy, we are taught so much. You do not have a soulmate. You do not have, if you do, it puts you on a higher plane. Like in polygamy, you're always looking for what makes you special, what makes you stand out. And so in the Sister Wives, Mary was the one who stood out. She was the legal wife. Mm-hmm. And so it's like, what makes you special? What makes you stand out? What makes you different than the 25 other wives that this man is sleeping with? And so that is one of the things that I feel so sad about, is because we all want to feel like we're special. We all want to feel like we matter. And so these girls will find little tiny things that say, oh, look, we have the same initials. It was a meant to be. Or, oh, it's something that you want it to be, you're trying to romanticize your union as much as you can. And it's not just, oh, my dad got together with a prophet and this was a good idea, so we got married. And that's unfortunately a huge amount of the time what happens. And so these girls are trying to romanticize anything to show why they're so important to this man, mm-hmm. that has 4 other women who are so important to him. And so I feel like that's why, if you have watched any of our recaps of any of the episodes, Robin comes right out of the gate swinging, going, he's my soulmate, because she knew that instantly that would elevate her above all of the other women. So women in this religion, women are constantly trying to say, where do I fit? Where's my place? What makes me important and special to him? And so I think that's why I love the title of this chapter so much. I wanted just the man for me, because we are never taught about having a man for us. It's all about what can we be for the man? Mm-hmm. How do we show up as a wife for the man? How do we show up as, what makes us special to him? Appreciate the title of this. So she talks, basically the whole chapter is all about them getting engaged. We saw it all on the show, how recently she gives him credit about knowing that the show is going to be filmed, so he has somebody film it for her. I love how I highlighted this one sentence. She says, David has been sweet about filming. No one expects their Tinder date to turn into a reality show, and it's just not his thing. Mm-hmm. So, but I know a lot of people who have gotten married who met on Tinder or a dating app like that. We know a lot of people. Mm-hmm. She says Isabel got frustrated because David didn't know how to play cards. And then we talked about, well, what has David been doing with his life? And Isabel says, oh, he was being a real dad. It's funny because when I got divorced, I went and made a list of all the things I wanted in a man. I didn't think that what I wanted in a man mattered. And 4 pages of note, and playing cards was like the third thing on the list. So he had to love me, or he had to love my children. That was my very first thing. Love my children, love me, and then know how to play cards.
Yep.
And I found that list a couple of years after Corey and I were married. And I was like, I went through the whole thing and I'm like, oh my gosh, he fits every single one of these. Like I manifested it. But let's see. So then she talks about Gwendolyn and Bia's, but in here she calls them Benjamin. So I don't know if that transition, if there's a transition that's happening there. I'm not up to date on that. So I apologize. I'm not trying to offend anybody if I say the wrong name. I just thought it was Gwendolyn and Bia, but in here she refers to it as Gwendolyn and Benjamin. And this is so, oh my gosh, this is so very true. When she says she invites Cody to her engagement party and Cody says, I'm not going to come. I can't be there. Again, I think it's because they don't support that lifestyle, but I could be wrong. And she says to him, but you're my dad, and starts crying. And he comes back something along the lines of, don't manipulate me with your tears. And yet we all saw on Sunday's episode, Robin starts manipulating Cody with her tears. And for some reason, it's okay for some women to do it, but it's not okay for other women to do it. Okay. It's infuriating. My mom started treating my dad the way the favorite wife treated my dad. And my dad's comment was, I already have a wife who treats me like shit. I will not tolerate this from you too. That's his comeback to her. And that's what this reminded me of when I read this part of it. Don't try to manipulate me with your tears. And so, yeah.
Especially children.
Yeah.
Children should not try to, you're not manipulating me as a parent. So, yeah.
Right. So then she talks about, ends up calling the producer, and the producer's like, well, if Cody goes to this, we have to film it because it's the first time that your fiance, David, or I think they were fiancés. In the book, it makes it sound like they're they're engaged. And she says, well, I don't want it filmed. That's not fair. I don't think they need to have every second of our lives on it. And the producer comes back and says, well, it's the first time they meet. We have to get that on film. And so that I think would be really hard to be under contract like that and have to film all of those, you know. Oh shoot, are we having sound issues again? What the heck? Sound is going in and out. Yeah, I don't feel like we're doing anything different on our end. That's what's so frustrating is I feel like we do exactly the same thing every time, and I don't know why it's going in and out like that. So I think it's sad that that the kids get put in compromising situations like this because of contracts that the parents are in. I think that's sad. And maybe they could have organized a different setting where David and Cody could have met, and it didn't have to be at their daughter's engagement party. What were you saying?
They're saying that they've closed the app and restarted it. Now they can hear it.
Okay.
So I'm going to turn mine up.
Yeah,
I can hear it just fine.
Yeah, because nothing, like, I feel like we don't do anything different. Nope. Like, literally everything. Melanie keeps talking directly into the mic. When you move around, the sound goes in and out. Okay. Yeah. So another thing that she talks about is when McKelty said, yeah, he's babysat our kids one-on-one. What she was trying to say to Cody was, look, we trust this man. We trust him with our kids. And that's what was sad to me too, is that my dad was such a piece of work to Corey, because the baby, my mom has the youngest child out of all of my dad's children, and she was born a couple of months after Corey and I got together. And she has adored Corey. Like, she just wants him all the time. She was tiny and she was always wanting him to hold her. And that just infuriated my dad. And it was like, when did this start happening? And my mom's like, oh, she's loved him her whole life. If you came around more often, then you might see how much she's loved him her whole life. And so my dad treated Corey very, very poorly because he felt threatened that all the babies and all the little children adored Corey and not him. He was used to coming home and being treated as a king, and all the kids like, oh, we want to, pay attention to this. And now all of a sudden my dad wasn't getting that because here's Corey and everyone wants to. And so I feel like maybe that's where some of as I watch Cody and David, I'm wondering if David's come in and kind of taken that spot over, and that puts a little burr in Cody's side.
Well, and to tell the truth, that was at the beginning. Once we had our daughter together, he started to be a lot more decent to me. So
yeah.
So
not I wouldn't say a lot.
Yeah.
I'd say he got a smidge
He
better.
was cordial. Yeah.
He was more cordial. Yeah.
So
and then she talks about another thing, like when Cody was leaving the engagement party, he turns around to Gwendolyn's fiance. I don't even know how to fiance.
Yeah.
I would just say fiance. And says she's beautiful, but you have to watch out for Gwendolyn.
Stab at his own kid.
Yeah, takes stabs at his own kid, and it's horrible. It just breaks my heart. But another thing that Christine talks about is that her relationship with David allows her to model to her children what a happy marriage can be like.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the most important things. I know I stayed in my marriage so much longer than I should have stayed because I was doing it for what I believed was the kids. And how many times have we done that where we stay in a broken situation that is not just broken, but it's toxic because we think that's what's best for the children.
Yeah.
Oh, and it's not. In fact, we're modeling the exact thing we don't want our children to be in. Like I would never wish that kind of relationship on any of my children. And then she talks about at the end of this, how she goes to bridal showers with her girls, talks about how her family's blending. At the end, she says, "Did you see David pop his leg up when he kissed me? My parents were there, my siblings, the kids, and Janelle. I felt like a bride. Joy and laughter filled the day, and I finally had what I wanted. I wanted the man just for me, and I wanted the family." Because her beginning statement was, I didn't want just the man, I wanted the family. And so I love how this has now come a full circle for her, circle moment. And she's like, I wanted just the man for me, and I wanted the family. Did you see any? Sorry, let's see. Yeah, I apologize for the sound. I don't know. I almost wonder if it's a YouTube problem. It's not an us problem because literally nothing on our side is changing. It's just, yeah. Let's see. Cher Bear says it was cringe watching that on the show. Yeah, it really was.
Yeah, the meeting.
Yeah. I think Katie's right. It could be a buffering issue. Yeah, it very well could be a buffering issue.
The fun part about it is Cody is still jealous in these last episodes. He still can't. Well, I don't even want to talk about Christine because it still irritates him just talking about Christine and David. And yeah, Christine is kind of, it must feel good that he's still so irritated about it. And he is. I think he's getting to now, has gone through some of the healing, but a lot of it that I see from him is nostalgia, because these women did worship him and were advocates for him, and he has let that go to take care of one wife. And so he is missing what he used to have, even though he is telling all of us, well, what I have with Robin is so much more special, but he's missing that other part of it.
Yeah.
That he's fighting. He's going back and forth when he's talking about the nostalgia that he's had with the other wives versus how he has it with Robin. It's not all he thought it was going to be.
Skittles.
Yep. Now that he's just with Robin. So I think both of them are irritated with each other.
Cher Bear says, I thought that Christine's conversation with Truly was great. Some of it was aired on the show too. Yeah, which I think is so sweet. Nicole Aggie says, Cody ran away when the kids hit teenagers, where conflicts get harder and you need more. I feel in my experience, that's where I see a lot of polygamous men, because they're not used to being corrected or criticized, at least not out in the open or publicly. And so when the kids do hit that age where they can do stuff like that, that is where a lot of the men will pull back from them. So, oh, Catherine Perry says, this tends to be a common theme in other podcasts. People say Corey's voice is a lot softer, but I'm hearing them both okay. Okay, good. I'm glad you're hearing those.
Catherine Perry sent us a shout out too. Or thanks for the shout
sorry,
out.
I'm all the way up in the top of the comments here. Oh, thank you, Catherine. She says, thanks for the shout out. You guys are so likable. Thank you. I appreciate that. Michelle Hallman says, I would suggest, oh, never mind. Okay. I'm trying to go past like all of the volume comments.
Yeah.
I apologize for that. I wish there was something we could do about it.
And the interesting part, she just bing, bang, boomed and got her another husband. That's the interesting part with Christine. She probably left Cody mentally 3 or 4 years before. She was trying to work things, but there's a moment in time where she's not going to work things out with him anymore.
Yeah.
And so she mentally went through all the grief and did the breakup with Cody, but Cody's just over there in bliss with Robin. And so, yes, it's a surprise to the kids, but I feel like it's probably also a surprise to him also, because he was like, oh, she'll just get, because she had just got over it so many times and then tried to work it out with him. And so for her kids, for the religion. And so he just was like, yeah, she'll come back. This is just the same old, same old. And so he's over there in bliss with Robin, having this amazing time while he's treating the other 3 wives poorly. And then she leaves. And then for him, it's a surprise. It's so quick. Why? I don't know, because him and Robin got engaged and married so quickly too. But she did that and moved on so quickly from him, and solidified. Robin's like, well, she's not released from him until she's with another man. Great. She's like, there we go. Checking off the list. And then the other thing that is so frustrating to him with Christine is because when Christine left, it was almost like there was a permission given for the other wives to leave. And so they left within years after Christine. And so he blames Christine a lot for that, because if Christine had hung around, then the other wives wouldn't have probably left as quickly.
Right.
So it gave that permission that I'm done with this. So.
Right. No, I love it. Thank you so much, Fancy Duck. Welcome to being a member. Let's see. I want to talk about this. Or Katie says, it looks like they're both miserable. Robin is saying things now to keep her foot ever so slightly in the AUB door. It's looking a little sad there for Cody boy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. I think that she's doing everything she can to keep her foot in the door. And
yeah, he's trying to coax her out. Hey, we're happy. We're this, we're that. And she's not. And so now I feel like he is having some reminiscing that he's lost 3 of the other women that really did lift him up and worshipped him and made him a better person. And that's what even Robin said. Well, these 3 women made him such a great guy. Now they're gone, and you get what Robin's created.
Right.
So
right. Let's see.
And somebody said back in the back, and I agree with you, that Robin, by stating that her eggs, or the egg dropping thing, was trying to take credit for who Cody is now. You know what? Cody is, I have refined him above what the other 3 women even refined him to. And so, yes, now women's eggs are dropping. And I'm like, no, you've created this version of Cody the version you first met was the creation of the other 3 wives. So
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's so sad.
welcome, Karen Adams. I
Yeah.
don't know if you
Thank you,
said that.
Karen Adams, for being a member. Okay. Would you ever talk about your personal experience of getting divorced and eventually working things out?
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. Mostly, like, I am okay to talk about it but mostly we're getting this guy used to being on camera and talking about things. And so I feel like you're
Yeah.
getting more comfortable. Do you feel
Mhm.
like it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, definitely I want to make that video sooner than later. I think that would be awesome. Because I feel like we learned so much about ourselves during that whole process and the things that it did for our family.
Yeah.
It was a hard process to go through and it sucked really hard, really bad, but we learned so much about it. Let's see. Thank you, Paula Marie, for being a member. Thank you. So yeah, I think we're gonna do that pretty soon here.
Mhm.
The egg comment from Robin just shows how completely delusional she is. Yeah, it was so. I just laughed. I was like, she did not just say this.
Well, she's not on an earthly plane of, she's in a spiritual plane of delusion. And so she believes that she is the more spiritual, that she has created, that she's doing all of this stuff. She's way up here, this earthly realm. Sounds very delusional, but she's up there in her heavenly realm thinking that she sounds just the most intelligent polygamist woman on this planet. So.
No. Robin is slowly but surely trying to shift the blame to Cody fully.
Absolutely. She has no blame to. I was surprised when she says, well, it's all of our faults, but she does not believe that he was the leader of the family. It's his fault. She was telling him what he needed to do, and he wasn't listening to her. So,
Yeah.
oh yeah, it's all his fault in her mind. And so she's just building up that resume of when she decides to leave, why she's leaving. So
in this last episode, there was so much. That's why we want to go live tomorrow. So join us for our live tomorrow and we'll go over all of that too.
Yeah. And somebody else said on here, that was the other question that I was wanted to answer. But yes, I guarantee she hasn't shown. She did the whole guilting scene there because he's telling her about a letter or an email that was written to him, and he deleted it, and he should have told. I guarantee she has got a dozen or more of those, and she hasn't told him about them. So,
yeah,
yep.
I did that once, and it did not turn out in our favor. So, okay, her husband is literally known for being the worst husband and father in the history of TV.
And she created all that. So,
yeah. Well, and honestly, people have been asking us, do you guys know Preston? Do you guys know Preston? You should get him on here. And I was, so Preston, if you're watching and you want to come on our show, we would love for you to come on our show. We've never interviewed anybody, so we're not pros at this, but we would 100% figure it out.
Yeah.
I know, again, we've had people, come on, I want to try to get to this comment. Why is this not updating? Yeah, I wonder if it's our internet. It's kind of being a little slow. Let's see. She doesn't have an accountable bone in her body. I was so mad at her in this episode. Maybe I should have had a wine to watch this week too. I was telling Corey, I can never drink 3 glasses of wine again, ever. That not do a recap. That was horrible. Bad on my end. Okay, we're on the last chapter of the book, and it's called She Started to Cry.
I hope that somebody's catfishing him too. So that would be hilarious.
I hope someone is catfishing Cody, maybe Alice. Corey said it's probably Mary.
Or
wasn't it you that said it was probably Mary because Mary was just getting back at Robin for catfishing her?
If he's being catfished, no, I'd say it was Robin that's catfishing him with one of her friends. So
oh gosh. Oh my gosh.
So that she has an excuse to shadow ban him. So
yeah, somebody says even Preston's brothers or sisters would be fun to hear from close to his age. We've had some reach out to us. But we've had a couple of people reach out to us. And and again, we have never interviewed anybody, but I did have a cousin who just said to me over the weekend, I've been watching some of your stuff, and he's one of the oldest of the 350 grandchildren too. And he said, maybe I should come on there because I had a great experience growing up and our experiences are so totally different. And maybe we could have, and so I'm like, do it. Come on. I would love it. I would absolutely love it if he did. So let's see. I would think that interviewing someone would make it a great start. Yeah. So yeah, I think that we are going to be doing an interview soon with another newer YouTuber. So many of you guys said Jaden Jeffs. So we'll be doing a video with him here pretty soon as well. So that one will be fun. Yeah. I've been working that out with him. I know you don't know about it yet, but yeah, we'll be doing that here pretty soon.
I have questions for him about the FLDS.
I know, I do too. That's what he goes, well, maybe we'll just film an episode or an hour long with you where I interview you, and then we'll stop and then we'll do another hour where you interview me. So yeah, we thought about that. I thought it would be hilarious if it was like that. Do you like Pina Colada song? And they end up contacting Mary to be a sister wife. Oh yeah. You know that. Do you like Pina Coladas? And it ends up being a husband and a wife who connect back up with each other.
That would be brilliant.
Yeah. I think that would be hilarious. Okay. Okay. Let's, Jaden Jeffs. I think his name's Jaden Jeffs. So that's who I'm working with. That's who I've been talking to. So I'm excited. I'm like, watch us. We're live on Tuesday. So if Jaden, if you're on here, this is us, and I'll be excited to meet you.
He's Warren Jeff's son. Is that right?
I think so. I think he's Warren Jeff's son.
Some way related.
Yeah. And Amanda Ray. Yeah, I think he's her cousin or something like that. I don't know that whole connection there, but yeah. So I think we're going to try to get that. Apparently we live close by each other. So we're going to try to make that happen. All right. This last chapter, here we go. This one this one's a rough one too. It says, so she talks about this. She's talking about the grief about Garrison and him passing. And so she puts in here, Garrison took his own life in March of 2024. It's the worst thing that has ever happened to any of us. Janelle and Cody's son, our son, my son. And that's the part that kicked my butt when I read it. Cause I was like, ugh.
That tells you a lot. So
yeah. So many times in this book, as we've been highlighting, cause we highlight everything, make it yellow so that I underline how they refer to the children. And if it's mine or ours or somebody says the Darger family would be fascinating. Yeah, we've lived down the street from them. So I'd love it if any of them wanted to do it. So she talks about basically letting the family know that Garrison has now passed and the process of how that happened and how hard that is. And she talks about alcoholism in here and how some of the younger kids didn't understand, like, why is everybody crying? Why are all the adults crying? And it is so hard when something like that happens and that that the person who's going to be the most affected, which would be Janelle at that moment, you're so far away, you can't be there. You can't be there to love them and hug them because here's Christine here in Utah and Janelle's in Flagstaff. Or I don't know if she was in Flagstaff. I think she was at the time.
Yeah.
And so since she talks about having several services for Garrison where the entire family is gathered under extremely tense circumstances.
Yeah.
When we buried him, it was a beautiful service, another opportunity for some semblance of closure. And then she talks about Maddie's daughter being named after Garrison in honor Amelia Estelle, because Estelle means star. And she just talks about
how tight the bond is with the children and the core family.
Yeah. So. Yeah. When we read that part earlier today, I'm just like, it's so hard because we've had extremely close people to us do the same thing. And it's so hard because you don't understand it. Like I have been there myself quite a few times in my life and you don't understand it until you are in that situation. You don't understand. And it's easier to judge people about it because it is so.
Well, what she says in here is your imagination of how bad it could be. And you don't want to go through it, but it's way worse than even what your imagination. I don't want to go through that with one of my kids. So
Yeah. Well, and she talks
yeah.
about they knew that with such a big family, something would break our hearts. And I always felt that bearing a child would be the worst thing. Anything I could have imagined the feeling being, it doesn't even come close to the reality of it.
Yep.
She also talks about alcohol not being a pattern because Mormons don't normally generally drink. And like her father has never had a drink in his life, and her mother drinks an occasional glass of wine. And I know a lot of people who have never had a sip of alcohol, never had a sip of anything, because I did have a sister who passed from alcoholism. She left 3 fairly small children, young children, not small, but young. And that was devastating. She was my first sibling to pass. And that was back in 2012. So it's been a little bit of time, but I've watched her children have to grow up without her. And that's been hard and gut wrenching. And, we show up as best we can, but it's still so hard when you see that. And yeah,
it runs when you're in such a tight society and all of these things are taboo. You can't drink alcohol, all of that stuff. When you leave and you go out into the world, you want to try all of the stuff. And we're not taught about alcoholism, that it's if we are, it's shamed as kids. Oh, you don't want to even try that and so you get out there, you try alcohol, you do it, and you're really, when I first got out, I felt like for a year I was an alcoholic. I was always drinking, and it was my family and my brothers that protected me and were like, hey, you're a different person. You've got to pull back. We miss the old Corey. And so, so then I had to go through a process. And so where I wasn't drinking just to drink and feel numb. Like she says in here, I drink now kind of for an occasion. So,
and we don't drink a lot anymore because of that. We definitely have had wine on Sunday nights when we watch Sister Wives, but we don't normally drink very much because I feel like we've both kind of got caught in that trap of, drinking heavily. When I never had a drink, I never had a sip of alcohol or got drunk until I was 26 years old. And Corey got me drunk for the first time. But we have definitely, I started to have a severe, I would say severe addiction to alcohol after I had a miscarriage, after my last child. I did it to numb it because it was everything was so hard and so heavy all the time. And so I understand that, but then I watched my sister pass with it, and I watched what it did to her children. And so, yeah, it's hard to, but again, moderation in all things. But when you grow up in a society where it's so frowned upon, you don't always know what moderation means because you've never had a drink of alcohol. So all of a sudden you're 3 glasses of hard liquor in and you're passed out on the floor. And so there's not a gauge. You don't always know how to gauge what it is you're doing because you've never experienced it before. She talks about how in Vegas, she had to have a beer at the end of the day or a seltzer cider type of thing. But she would do that to cope and go home and be a parent after. And I completely understand that. She does talk about, at least she knew better than mixing her oxycodones with her alcohol. So at least she knew that, and good for her for understanding that part. I'm sure that the whole family is a lot more careful with alcohol now. And I feel like I've never had an addictive personality. I'm too much of a control freak, but I love it. I love this sentence. She says, I understand addiction to anything becomes a trap. And you feel trapped in your life. You feel like, where can I go from here? What can I do? Now she stops and she thinks to herself, do I really need that? I feel differently now about assuming you can bring a 6-pack of beer to someone's house. She thinks it's rude and that you should ask before you can do something like that. And so, yeah, it is. It's this chapter, I appreciate that she ended the book with this chapter, because remembering this young man for everything that he was to his family. And I love that her kids had one of his photos framed for her. And the last sentence of the book is, "I would love to see him again." So I thought she just ended the book. So I thought it was wonderful the way she ended the book. And
that's one of the belief systems, it's probably a belief system that I have carried on. I don't know. I hope that I will see everybody again on the other side, if there is another side, my grandparents, my loved ones. So
right. Let's see. And then I
I
am going to go to the epilogue here in just a second.
Let me do that very bottom one.
Right here. I agree that you should ask if it's okay to bring alcohol.
Yeah. No, sorry. That besides painkillers, alcohol, are there any types of drug or drug use in the AUB community? You're asking if it's within the AUB community. Drug use, alcohol, painkillers are all kind of frowned upon within the AUB community. If you're taking all of those things, you're not in tune with God. You should be praying. You should be doing other things. So within the community, no. Once you leave the community, once you are no longer under the control, you feel like, oh, hey, I can try all of the things.
Yeah.
So I would say the people leaving are sampling alcohol, are doing it. Painkillers, yes, there could be, especially in accidents and things like that, but you're encouraged to not even take painkillers. Pray about it, have blessings, things like that, and just deal with the pain. So a lot of times. So
well, and I think there's a lot of antidepressants that happen within the AUB community.
Yeah.
In my experience, prescribed. Yeah. And so there's a lot of antidepressants, and no shame around that. It's a hard lifestyle.
It is.
I've been on antidepressants on and off in my life at least a dozen times. And I had, there are a few doctors in the AUB, and I would just go to one of them and go on one because things just got too hard. So,
but that was when you were more of an adult, right? Or you're married. I never had that. That wasn't even an option when we were kids.
Oh yeah, not an option at all when we were kids.
Yeah.
No.
If things were, and that's the thing, if you were sick or you did something like that, I hated cod liver oil, and that's what you were given, cod liver oil or a little aspirin if you had a headache or something like that. Those were the medicines that we got. We didn't get to go to, I remember the first time I went to a doctor was when I broke my arm and I was an adult. So
yeah, for your broken arm.
For my broken arm.
Back in 2011.
Yeah. So I never went to a doctor when I was a kid. I went to an eye doctor and I went to a dentist, but that was it. So
yep. Share Barrett says it's not the natural order of things. Children are supposed to bury their parents, not the other way around.
That's
Feel
right.
for anyone who had to bury a child. Yeah.
Heartbreak. And I hope I never have to feel that. So
yeah, I hope we never have to feel that too. No. Such a sad so sad, such a helpless feeling. Yeah. It is definitely. I thought that when my sister passed, it would bring our family a little bit closer, and it didn't. I've had 3 siblings pass now. And then I have a sister who is 4 hours older than me. We were born on the same day. She passed a few years ago from cancer. And then of course my younger brother. And so my younger brother that has Down syndrome, he passed 2 years ago. That's the first sibling from my mother's children that has passed. And then you've had 3.
I've had 3 siblings
pass too
in the last 5 years. So
yeah. talked about this, that there was a man who abandoned or who left like 12 wives and 90 something children. And my sister's, that was where my sister came from. Yeah. Well, I don't know what is happening with YouTube tonight. What the hell?
Somebody said on there that there's an election going on. And so,
Yeah, there's election night tonight.
yeah. And so probably tons of people streaming the election. So probably we're here streaming too, and it's taking it down. So
Yeah, this is crazy. So, okay, I'm trying to see.
we're back.
I know. I don't know what is happening. I don't know why YouTube's like, there you are. Okay, so let's go over this epilogue. So she talks about, in the epilogue, she talks about how writing this book has been gut-wrenching for her and embarrassing. And so it's really got me thinking. I have been very hard on people because of being the child in the situation. I have been very, very hard on even like my mother and some of the women. And so I'm going to try to be a little bit more careful about that, because she says it's embarrassing. I'm telling people intimate things that I don't even want my children to know as she's writing this book. She's embarrassed that she stayed as long as she did. I'm embarrassed that I allowed him to treat me the way that I did. I'm embarrassed that I didn't love myself more, but I understand that I stayed until I realized tomorrow wasn't going to get any better. And I do understand that embarrassment. I stayed in my last marriage way longer than I should have, and I knew better to get out, but I didn't because I was too afraid. I was uneducated. I had no high school diploma. I had 3 little babies. I didn't know that I had any option. And so sometimes I forget about some of that, the shame and embarrassment. But then she acknowledges how her story has offered hope to other people, and that people have come up to her and said, thank you for showing me that I could leave as well. And yeah. And so I feel like that's where you find some of the strength, and as I've tried to explain things like this to my mom, as she's looked into moving or, leaving. Mom, you're going to be a huge example to so many other people if you can find the strength to leave. And so she talks about how she shared her own story with mostly women, but she's grown to understand that it's a good thing to talk about what happened. And it's good to show the personal growth that happens afterwards. And this is where I would like to shift our channel a little bit more on these types of things. I don't want our channel to just be a gossip channel. I want our channel to show people this is what happens when you do your healing work and you leave a cult.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And I love this sentence too. She says, people have come up to me and said, I've watched Sister Wives with my daughters so they can see what strong women look like. And sometimes I forget, because I feel so wounded by so many of these women, that I forget that it does take a lot of strength to leave. I was there too. I had to figure it out on my own without anyone to help me walk through it. She talks about the appreciation she had because there was a good 10-year stint where things were magical in their family, where Cody and her got along and Cody was being a great dad. I still hope that he'll step up and he has amazing kids. And now he lives monogamy with his soulmate, and she's learned that there's nothing better than that. She says ultimately she thinks the show helped out their family because they all developed voices and learned how to speak out. We learned how to look back and think about all of it rather than simply struggle through the day to day with no context. She talks about how her kids are very done with the show. They don't want to be a part of the show anymore, and how Aspen said to her, I think I've lived your life long enough and now I want to live my own life. And she talks about giving Truly space to be a part of filming if she wants to. But she's never let Truly watch the show, which I thought was kind of interesting. It says, especially the last few years, most of her other kids haven't watched it either. And so I think that's interesting that she hasn't let Truly watch it. I think that eventually Truly will grow up and maybe she will want to watch it. She loves that the show has given her it being part of her life, but most of all, she loved the change that has come from her as personally as a person. She loves who she is today. That came from the show and from living polygamy and from all the people that she met along the way. And she said, people are saying, I'm waiting for my David. Thinking about the day that you'll find him brings tears to my eyes, but so does thinking about the day that you'll find yourself.
Yep.
And I really appreciated that part of it, because it is so true that Yeah, you find so like you get
This
so lost in this religion because it's everything is about everyone else.
Well, and the show itself, I mean, as frustrating as everything can be, the show itself is really what I feel like gave these women a voice
Yeah.
that most women within the AUB do not have, and an opportunity to leave.
Yeah.
And so again, and it gave them, so there's is an appreciation for the show, for the fans, for people listening, because it was the catalyst that gave them the uh, a wake up call, a voice, and a way to leave.
Yeah.
And most women within the AUB suffer on, live long, and uh, following the word because they have no other choice. They have no ability to leave.
Right.
They feel like they don't have an ability to leave. So, and they're not listening, and they're not. So, not only did Christine and all of uh, the three original wives show that they could leave and that it was okay, but hopefully a lot more people within the AUB see that and see that way out. That's why we started talking too, is because I want to give people hope that there's something outside here, humor, but an enjoyable life. So
Yeah.
come on out. You're welcome. You're welcome here on the dark side of AUB. So
Yeah, because leaving is hard. It's not easy. It is one of the hardest things. And when I did it,
live
no one in
long
my
and
family had
prosper.
ever left before. And it was, yeah. And it was hard to leave. And it was hard to know what to do. And it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't just hard, it was terrifying. And I didn't always know what to do. Share Bear says, thank you so much for the super chat. She says, I just want to say thank you for all you do. It's like hanging out with friends. You are both have come so far and are killing it. I love you
Mm-hmm.
guys. Thank you so much. Um, Catherine Perry says, sorry to hear about your sister.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a tough one. And I missed most of her funeral. Corey's aunt had cancer at the time, and we were doing everything we could to help her. So I missed a good majority of her funeral because we were really involved in what was happening in that moment. And I did everything I could to get back for it. But at least, and I actually have a picture of that I was going to post online on our Instagram page of all of my dad's girls at that funeral. And then Nicole Aggie,
Yes.
thank you. Yeah,
Yes. Thank you, Nicole.
she says, let me see if I can pull it up here. You can share the channel by clicking share, then don't finish it. It puts the channel in front of new people who might love it. Yeah, thank you. We're going to set a goal to see if we can hit 20,000 followers by the end of this year. So yeah, if you find
can share us
any value, yeah, we would really appreciate it. Let's see. I'm trying to get back to love you both. Listening to you when I get on YouTube from Australia. Thank you. I do. Oh, come on.
One day I will come and visit you guys in Australia too, because I want to see the southern stars. So
I know
love
Corey's
watching
very
stars,
much into channel. Okay, let's see. I love this channel because not only shows the specifics of what you grew up with, but also how similar a lot of it is with so many other religions or cults. You guys are the best. Thank you.
Yes, thank
Yeah,
you.
it is very it's been such a huge learning thing curve for us too, because we are very technically challenged, as you can see. But I think the problems that we're having tonight are not necessarily on our end. I think it might be on YouTube's end. But yeah, I really hope that we can be a catalyst for change for other people. There was a couple of girls that we did help, that we have helped and given advice to, and one of them sent me a message the other day, and she was able to get out with her 4 kids. And I asked her if I could share her story on our channel, and she said, please do. Obviously, I won't try not to give too many identifying factors of who she is, but oh my gosh, yeah. And she sent me the message on a day that I was feeling like, is this worth it? Is what we're doing worth it? The messages that I have still gotten from my father have been a little rough. And I've wondered if we were doing enough. I didn't want to become a gossip channel and just gossip about sister wives. And so the day she sent that to me was really, yeah, I appreciated her sending that message.
Uplifting.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Let's see. I do hope you and Corey recognize the historical importance of your spoken experiences within the AUB and the wider Mormon dysphoria. I really appreciate your commentary. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, it's been very fun, and we've really appreciated doing it.
Yeah, because sometimes we're like, if we just shut up, then we won't get all the pushback from
My
the
dad.
prophet.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
and his little minions. And so, but then again, I just take a big deep breath and know if they're giving so much pushback, we must be making a difference within his community, or they wouldn't be as frustrated. So
Right. And so no, we are definitely, we love doing this. We love talking to people. We love giving people a voice too, that maybe not have had a voice. And and of course, we're still learning so much about ourselves. There's not one episode of Sister Wives that we watch that we don't learn something about ourselves and the way we grew up. And
shoot, I still got to heal that part of me. I didn't realize that part was that irritated me. So
well, and even just watching McKelty and Tony's interview with Pop Psych, we both were like, oh my gosh, we see so much of ourselves in what they were saying. I really appreciated that interview. Let's see. So yeah, I think we'll probably take a week off of the book club, but I think we'll come back and do it again. We're just going to decide which book we want to do and
make an announcement on one of our lives or something.
So yeah, I might do I'm thinking watch for a post from us, because I might do a post with where you can vote on which book. I have like a couple of different books that I wanted to do, and then we can have like a vote on, hey, we want this would be a great book option. So let's see, come visit Australia, it's beautiful. Yeah, Corey would love that. That would be something that he would absolutely.
Scotland and Australia are on my bucket list. So
I know Corey definitely wants to go to Scotland.
I've been studying your guys' constellations so I can tell where I'm at in the middle of the night. So
one of the things that attracted me so much to Corey was we met down at Lake Powell. There's a big lake here that has a bunch of houseboats on it. And Corey came down to Lake Powell, and he was up on the top deck with a flashlight with my little kids, and they were 2 and 4 or 3 and 5, something like that. And he was up there showing the kids the lights. And I was like, oh my gosh, this guy is so adorable. I absolutely love this. And he was trying to explain the different constellations and what it was. So when we started dating, remember for your birthday, I bought you that telescope because it was such a fun experience for my kids. They absolutely loved it. Lady Sarah, thank you so much for that super chat. It says, I'm so happy I found the channel. There are so many false prophets out there. I pray you haven't lost faith in Christ altogether. What a great couple. No, definitely. I don't feel like we have. We're just definitely do not belong to any religion.
Well, we, not everything that we were raised or taught when we were being raised was bad. I mean, there were, especially when we were younger, we were taught to love each other. We were taught that our families are super important. We were taught a lot of core Christ-like teachings, and then we got all the dogmas put on top of that. And so, yeah, when I had my faith tested, it basically got broke down to, I mean, it crumbled. All of the dogmas came off of it. And what I was looking for was the fine threads of truth, is kind of how I looked at it. Those that was surrounded with dogma, and that's love one another. That's be kind. That's all of the stuff that resonated with me, that I wanted to be the better person, a good person, a kind person, a loving person, and no judgment on anybody. And we're all brothers and sisters in this world, moving forward, working, loving each other. And so, no, my core belief systems, I still have fine threads of it. I've just shaken off all of the dogma around it. So And I
Right.
don't want to listen to anybody's dogma. So,
Well, and that's one of the reasons why I appreciate the way Christine wrote this book. I appreciate, like, I think she did a really good job on it. I know people wanted more gotcha moments, but I really appreciate the way she wrote this book.
mhm.
I have really, really enjoyed reading it. What were you saying?
Well, she's talking about shame in here too, that she feels shame that it took her so long. And also we all do. As you're leaving, it's like we saw so many red flags so much earlier. If I had just left at this moment in time, how much further along would I have been? But I feel like that we're leaving at the right time to for those lessons to be fully understood. And so you each person leaves at their own time when they feel like, okay, I have tested the theory of your
Yeah.
guys' dogma long enough. I am done.
Yep.
And so, yes, I wish I'd done it 3, 5, 10 years earlier, but I'm thankful that I did it at this moment in time. And I tested all my theories and I feel absolutely comfortable living a different way. So,
Yep. Oh, yeah. Like your sister Katie says, loved all the Christ like love lessons. It's all the other fluff that's a problem.
yep.
And it is. It's all the other, it's people's own interpretations of the dogma, people's own interpretations of the scriptures,
Mhm.
and they add their personal little twist to things. And that's where it can become so misconstrued. And it becomes, at least in polygamy for me, it became a religion of shame and guilt and
Yeah.
fear, and not love and prosperity and how do I love. So I yeah. So what I think that I will put out a post where you can do, what is that called, where you can select, I can't even think of the name of it, where you can do like a poll where you
Yeah,
can
there you go.
pick
Poll.
which book, because there's a couple of different books that I've been thinking about and which ones we'll read next. But I've loved doing book club so far. It's been really fun.
I've
It's
enjoyed her book. I really, really like her book. So,
Yeah, I really
her
love her
point of
book. I think
view.
she did such a great job. And
And
go ahead.
I want McKelty's book
Yeah.
next. I do. Any of the kids that want to write a book, I would read it. I want to hear your guys' point of view on how you grew up, the good things, the frustrating things, all of that stuff. I would love that.
Yeah.
I'd love your opinion on it too. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
And we are getting
we
more
should
in.
write a book.
I know we should, and we will eventually. But if we as the holiday seasons come up, we're hooking up with Holding Out Help a little bit more.
Yeah.
And so as you're thinking about donating for the holidays, I know it's the most charitable time of the year, and maybe if you have a consideration of where you would like to donate, consider donating. They are the
Holding Out
best at
Help.
making a dollar stretch. Because of what they do to help people leave polygamy. And
Mhm.
so especially because most of us, I left at 25 years old, 26 years old with 3 babies, and I didn't graduate high school. My senior year of high school, I was having a baby. And so I think that it's really, I wish I would have had the support system of something like Holding Out Help.
Yeah.
And so I'm really going to promote their website a lot. So as you're thinking about your holiday gift giving, if that's something that you can consider, I've been tagging
get
their
on that.
webpage on all of our show notes on every single episode that we've done so far. I've been tagging them. So I think it's just holdingouthelp.com, but take that into consideration if you're thinking about that for the holiday season. If you're local and you have volunteer time, I know they can always use volunteers.
Mhm.
And different housing to house different people coming in and out, or coming out of the group. So we'll wrap that up tonight. We're going to do a live tomorrow because I just really would like to talk about the last episode.
Yeah. And
And-
get your guys' opinion on it too.
Yeah. And then we'll
So-
talk about special forces tomorrow. And so watch for that. I'm going to schedule that as soon as we're finished here. But yeah, if you don't follow us on our other social media, on our homepage, there is a link tree that has all of our other social media. And I have the picture of all of my sisters at my first sister's funeral. I've got both of them. Both of my sisters that have passed have been from the same mother. And so I was going to post both of those pictures. That's one of the only times that a lot of us girls have been there together. And so I was going to post both of those pictures on our Instagram. So you can check those out if you have not followed us on those social medias. And then, of course, our wine down. Apparently, I'm going to slow down on the wine because, I kind of get a little judgmental, but I'm going to slow down on the wine on Sunday nights because that's really the only time I ever drink wine is when we're watching Sister Wives. But I
On
think
the Sabbath.
on the Sabbath, I know, right?
Yeah,
There you go. So
partake of your
Oh,
sacrament.
we can set a goal and tie it to our channel for holding out help. Or for
Okay.
like our followers on YouTube. Because I would really, really love to be able to hit
Yeah, we'll
20,000
figure that
followers by the end of the year. That's kind of the goal
Oh yeah.
that we're working towards. So thank you guys again for joining us. We really
Yep.
appreciate it. I hope you guys have loved book club as much as we have. I'll get that poll set up tomorrow. And then you guys can let me know which book you'd like us to read.
And if you're in the AUB and you want to share it with a fellow AUBer, we would love to have you guys as part of our YouTube. But yeah, thanks everybody. If you know family and friends that you're talking about, please share our channel with them.
Yeah.
We would like to get bigger. So
Mom says, excellent job, you two. I'm so proud of you both. Thanks, Mom. We're proud of you too for being able to get out when you did.
And I'm sorry for your daughter's inappropriate jokes. So I will apologize for her.
It's all about me. So thanks, everybody. We will see you on our live tomorrow. And also watch for our recap. It's coming up soon.